Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Snorri Valleys Council meeting, Thursday the 16th of July. Welcome everyone, online and in person. Lovely to be here in Tumbarumba. Thank you to everyone who's driven over. We have no one on the, we'll just go through the acknowledgement of country. Snorri Valleys Council proudly acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land and water and pays respects to their elders, past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge that I have noted the Wagga City Council Acknowledgement of Country, which was designed by one of our locals, Stan Grant, and I'd like to follow that through, if possible, to get a better acknowledgement of country happening. This meeting is being live streamed on Council website to allow the community to follow Council debates and decisions. Members of the public participating in a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Snorri Valleys Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of a meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Councillors are reminded of the oath or affirmation of office they made under Section 233A of the Local Government Act 1993 and the obligations under Council's Code of Conduct to disclose and appropriately manage conflicts of interest. Please ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or are in silent mode for the duration of the meeting, and no recording of voice or images is permitted by mobile phones or other electronic devices while in the room. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the building using the nearest exit. If participating in the meeting from an alternate venue, people online, could you please enact your own evacuation plan for the location if required? Welcome. Now we have some remote attendances, one from Michael Inglis to attend virtually. I think that's, and we don't have any leave of absences. We go to Councillor Thompson, moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. All those in favour of Councillor Inglis attending virtually?
Is Councillor Inglis there?
No, but he'll pop. We have no declarations of pecuniary interest. So up to 5.1, the confirmation of minutes for the ordinary meeting from the 18th of June. Have a mover. Councillor Sheldon, by Councillor Thompson. All those in...
I have some clarification, yes please, Madam Mayor. Look, I noticed when going through it, and I just want to see if this is correct. When it came up, I think it was the report on the budget and the IP&R documents, that Councillor Hayes and Inglis voted for the motion. Councillor Larder voted against the motion, but then later on in the report, when talking about the rates, understanding that within the budget the rate pegging is there, that the three people voted against that motion of approving the rates. Is that correct?
It was the fees and charges, wasn't it?
Yeah, fees and charges, which is in there, but I just want to clarify.
So, Hayes, Larter
and Michael Inglis voted against approving the rate charges, and Councillor Larder voted against the budget in its entirety. And Councillor Inglis and Councillor Hayes voted for the budget. Approved the budget, but...
And what is your point?
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Voted ad seriatim, like in series.
Madam Mayor, the only other thing in the minutes is just the correction for the extraordinary meeting with the number of people in attendance, which I believe...
We'll come to that. We'll just do an ordinary meeting. Yes. So this is just about the ordinary meeting. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay, so now, sorry, Councillor Thompson, extraordinary meeting, would you like to move that?
I will move it with the correction to the number of councillors referred to as voting for.
Okay, and so that is seconded by Councillor Works. Councillor Thompson, your what page? Where?
Just in relation to, because we don't, pages aren't numbered for the...
Page 23 of the...
Oh, it's up the top. Oh, look at that. There are only 7 present at that, not the 8. And yet it says for the motion 4, it goes through, but there's only 7 people, not 8.
Really?
And then once Councillor Hayes had actually left at the end, there were only 6, not 7 for the resolution about the SBC brand retention survey. So I'd actually sent that information through, which I believe has been changed to the minutes, and so with that, I move that the extraordinary meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. All those in favour? Councillor Hayes? Or unanimous? Thank you. Okay, we have no correspondence or petitions. There is one mayoral minute, but before we get to that, I've just got to say a little bit of wonderful things that have been happening in the Snowy Valleys Council area. First thing, I'd like to thank our continued support from David Hanley and the Snowy Valleys Sculpture Trail. They had a wonderful sculpture weekend, and I think we really do need to acknowledge that we had the New South Wales Chief Justice, Andrew Bell, come and spend a whole weekend here. He opened a sculpture. He was so impressed with our area, so interested, and I think to have someone of that calibre come to our area and spend so much time in there, it was greatly appreciated by me, and I think everyone was very impressed with what a terrific person Chief Justice Andrew Bell was, and the people he brought with him. So thank you to that. I would like to acknowledge that last Friday night there was a welcome experience held at Club Tumut, and thank you to Jay from the RDA Riverina. It was a very positive evening. It's going to be run again in November, and I think as councils it would be great if we can maybe be a little bit more welcoming in asking people to come along. It would be good to have people from the state significant projects to join in that as well. But I think the next time it will be outside, which will allow for more people. So thank you for the RDA. And congratulations to the new Rotary presidents. We have Lisa Tozer-Packard from Tumut, Di Hibbard from Tumbarumba, Rob Pearce at Batlow, and Lions presidents Andrew Kelly from Tumba and Bruce Bryan from Tumut. And we all acknowledge what a great job these community services do for our community. So thank you for taking on the role. To the mayoral minute, I've got 3 recommendations there about the Australian census. One is to promote, support and recognise, whereas I am a big supporter of the Australian census, but I'm going to defer to the Deputy Mayor to speak about the census, because I think he's all over at the moment.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. If you just would indulge with me for a couple of minutes, I'll just explain why the census is so important this year, particularly for Snowy Valleys Council. Last census, 5 years ago, we were deep in COVID, and quite a number of rural councils saw a drop-off in the participation rate of people completing the census. They're not sure whether it was because of COVID or whether it was just populations ageing in rural councils, or something to do with connectivity or confusion around how it could be lodged. They weren't able to tell us that. But Snowy Valleys Council, along with quite a few others in rural New South Wales, have been identified as ones that sort of slip below the level where doing the census was seen as a problem, the percentage not doing it is a problem. So there's been a person working within Snowy Valleys Council, not me, council employee from Tumbarumba, but she can't be here today, unfortunately. She's going to be here to talk. But I've been engaging with a whole bunch of other councils in the Central West to try and get the message out and to get champions within the community, both at a council level and at a community services level, to get the census promoted. So I would be, just today, having it streamed, and hopefully the people watching online will get the messaging. But also councils, if you're able to speak to everybody within your network about the importance of doing the census. Because if we don't get an accurate count, then decision making in government around where resources are allocated and where the demographic trends are going are based on erroneous data. And in smaller rural communities, it doesn't take a lot of people not doing it or doing or missing out in one particular area for that to actually make a significant difference in the percentages. Tumut is fortunate. It wasn't going to have a thing called a pop-up hub, but now it's going to have basically an information stand which will help people fill out the census and give them any information and resources and contacts they need to do it. That's going to happen in the Tumut Library one day through the census period. And the census period this year isn't just one day, it's actually 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of August relating to the census day, which is the 11th of August. So council's supporting that and having that in the Tumut Library. If you know of people who are unsure or census hesitant, or that's a resource that they can go to. Otherwise, I'm not sure whether there's anything happening in Tumbarumba, but Kath, who's the census person, lives here, so she's very well connected with the Tumbarumba community. So that's really all I would like to say is that, you know, it's a very important year and a very important census to try and get back onto at least the national average, if not better than it in this LGA. And I'm happy to take any questions about it.
Well, I just for people who don't realise, Deputy Mayor, that you're actually very involved with this and you're working with the census?
Yes, I didn't declare an interest because I don't gain any financial reward from talking today, but yeah, I cover the Central West from Gundagai north to nearly Orange and then across to Parkes, and I've been working with all those LGAs, with 7 LGAs out there who also had slipped below the line for participation. Interestingly, big places like Wagga, Orange and Albury, their participation rates were fine. It seems to be very much an urban-rural divide. So yeah, it's something I've been working on now since late last year. I'll continue to work until about September with the census.
And you've found a lot of benefit meeting with other councils?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see. I've established a strong relationship with all those 7 councils in my area and just got to see a range of different aspects of their operations, and but they're all behind the idea of census 100%. So it's been this is the first time the ABS has ever tried employing somebody or a number of people. There's 9 of me across New South Wales doing this. So it's not just sort of west of the divide. Some of the coastal areas have problems too. So it's the first time they've tried it, and hopefully it will see the results. But certainly I just urge councillors to encourage and to, you know, talk up the value of the census, and if anybody is reluctant or reticent or feels they can't do it, you know, get them to seek help. There will be lots of different avenues for getting help to do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Madam.
Any other comments? All those in favour? Unanimous. No motions, notice of motions, questions of notice, no urgent business. So we're up to 10, which is the Council's Resolution Action Report. The recommendation is to note that. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Seconded by Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Thompson.
I have nothing, thank you, Madam Mayor, unless anyone else has queries or questions on it.
I've just got 2 things to really ask of the General Manager. The 7.1 of the about aged care, is there an update on that?
Yes.
Correct?
So just on that one, that's been marked complete, those actions. But in terms of councillor responsibility under the Aged Care Act, that's currently has some proposed changes to that to remove councillors as a responsible person. This has come off the back of LG New South Wales advocating on behalf of all councils across New South Wales.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor West. Thank you. Well, that's good news. And the other point I wanted to talk about was 7.2, which is the post-Snorri 2.0 economic transition and the local procurement opportunities. Just to say that meeting is happening in August the 14th with Dennis Barnes, Scott McKillop, but we have got the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Tumut as well, Serena Hardwick, who's Business New South Wales, Deputy Mayor and myself all working towards that. So thank you. There's been quite a lot of collaboration to make that happen. So hopefully we'll come back with something positive.
Madam Mayor, can I just ask that when you have that meeting, it's not just about when Snowy 2.0 project comes to an end. It's very much about the responsibility of Snowy Hydro's impact on our wider communities. And, you know, there are 6 of the power stations on the Tumut, or the storage on the Tumut River and are within our community area, and yet everything goes to Cooma. So I would encourage Snowy Hydro to look at the impact on areas like Talbingo that used to have a tourist centre there. It doesn't even have interpretive information. There used to be a really lovely diorama of T3, which must stay in Talbingo. So there's a lot of things apart from just winding down Snowy 2.0 and the impact on businesses and communities from that.
Thank you. And the other thing that I'd like to, leading off Snowy Hydro, of course, the transmission lines, and I'm glad that the councils, as all the councils along the Cubic line, continue to work for an ongoing legacy payment there. So, Councillor.
Just on the aged care one, was there an indication when that would be, when the legislation might be changed? Was there an indication how long until the legislation would change on the aged care one to remove council's responsibilities?
So we've lost Councillor Inglis, we can't see him. Oh, we've got him back. Right. Sorry, it's a question to you, of course, General Manager. Back on the aged care.
Yeah, just on the aged care, was there any sort of indication given when that legislation might change? Because at the moment we still legally would have that responsibility.
Correct. There was no time frame given, but my understanding is the changes have been proposed and they have been drafted, so it's just a matter of that sort of legislation going through. So hopefully within 6 months.
Very positive. Councillor Worth.
Just to your mayoral minute 7.1 on M74/26 resolved, put forward a formal submission to the Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure, the PHI, on the Bondo wind farm once development application is lodged. The new legislation from the state government proposed to prioritise renewable energy projects. How will that legislation to streamline renewable energy projects affect that submission for the Bondo wind farm?
Good question. Yes.
Through the chair, it's still going to go through the same process. At this point in time, there'll be community consultation. They'll need to consult with councils as well, so that information will be fed back to the farm.
So there'll be no time frame, wires won't change?
No.
Okay.
Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, back on the meeting between the chambers, yourself, what are the expectations? And is there a paper that we could have a look at?
We're meeting tomorrow to actually discuss that, so if you'd be happy if we're going to put out an agenda and a roadmap of what we want. We'll send that around to all councillors and would appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
By Tuesday. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. De-amalgamation project update, page 36. And we do have our Chief Transition Officer online. Welcome.
Thank you.
Our Councillor Sheldon. Moving, seconded by Councillor Packard. Councillor Sheldon.
I look forward to the Chief Transition Officer's report, verbal report, and then I've got some clarifications, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Chief Transition Officer. I don't know if you're ready for a verbal report, but there you go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through yourself. The report this month is relatively brief in context of the extraordinary council meeting that was just held 2 weeks ago. There are only 4 items within the report. I'll talk very briefly to those with up-to-date information. First of all, the steering committee. For completeness, in this report, we have detailed the successful appointees to our de-amalgamation steering committee. We congratulate those appointees and thank everybody for their nominations. What I can confirm is we have scheduled our first de-amalgamation steering committee meeting for the 6th of August at 4 p.m, and that will be held at Batlow. With regards to the community panel, our EOI is still open and doesn't close until the 19th of July. We've been really pleased to receive an increase in applications, and we, as of this afternoon, about an hour ago, have received 9 EOIs from the south and 8 EOIs from the north, noting that our closing date is still a couple of days away. The third item is to bring forward awareness regarding our enterprise resource planning system. In the de-amalgamation implementation plan, this is an important item that has been identified, requiring early resolution, given that enterprise resourcing planning systems would need to be implemented in 1 or 2 new councils, and there's a significant cost implication and, importantly, a significant lead time implication. What I can sorry?
Can I interrupt? The enterprise resource planning is a big word.
Yep.
Can you explain what that actually means?
Essentially, that centralized system that brings together some core administrative, regulatory and citizen-facing services. So you think about your financial system where your customer requests are coming through, planning. It also includes people functionality like payroll. So all of your core administrative functions in one integrated platform, which is a preferred approach within local government and many large organisations. The alternative to having a core system like a true ERP is having many very specialised systems. So some organisations might look at a very specialised payroll or HRIS system, a separate accounts payable systems, and then managing integrations of data between systems. The benefit to local government and the specialised ERP systems that have been developed for local government are that they provide the services that we require as unique organisations and reduce the burden for community and staff with that flow of information through the systems and not having to duplicate. So people would be interacting with ERP even if they didn't realise it. Nearly all councils in New South Wales would have an ERP. There'd be very few that would be managing without an ERP. And there are 4 main ERPs active in New South Wales at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon has a question.
I have a couple just clarifications, please, Madam Mayor. Firstly, are you confident that Council, Snowy Valleys Council, is meeting all the requirements that are set out in the IP&R framework within the customer or the consumer strategic plan, communication strategic plan, sorry?
Am I confident?
Yes, that we are meeting those guidelines.
In regards to the project?
Yes.
At this early stage, I am. However, I'm conscious that we're at the very early stages of the project.
Okay. What the Minister made very clear when he was here, the Council Snowy Valleys would be required to show some funding to this whole project. He was pretty clear on that, and I'll bring it up later on when we get to our investments. and particularly our unrestricted cash reserves. Is there a way we can look into that we could actually lever some funds to progress the de-amalgamation clause, keeping in mind that resolution that I put forward about not spending any money? So I'm contradicting myself.
Thank you, that was noted.
I wasn't sure if that was a question to me.
Statement. Or statement.
Statement.
Statement, great. You're finished now,
Um,
Councillor?
I'll just finish off just regarding the report. So within that ERP element, the approach is to bring a paper to the de-amalgamation steering committee for that first meeting. The reason that we're proposing to bring it forward so early is that implementation takes in excess of 18 months. So it's critical that I don't delay in bringing the first paper forward. And lastly, I had a note in my report regarding staff communications, and I know we did touch on this at the extraordinary meeting as well, but for transparency for the community, I thought it was also important to reference this in a formal council paper. Specifically, we've completed the roadshow, the first roadshow of staff presentations, and in particular, those staff presentations have highlighted the intent to respond to the community feedback regarding what they want their new council services to be and to resource in response to that. The organisational structure of the two new councils will not be a duplication of the current SVC, and nor would it be a duplication of the previous councils. Things have changed, and it's important that, as the Minister reminded us, that we are consulting with the community about the required services and service levels, and we build our organisational structure in consideration of those, as well as our many other constraints, including fiscal constraints. So we need to ensure that our operating model, including our organisational structure, is appropriate, fit for purpose for the services required by each community and within the financial parameters to be set. What I also wanted to highlight was the very important staff protections that are provided in the Local Government Act regarding de-amalgamation. And those would be that familiar, we have a neighbouring council going through a de-amalgamation under a different legislative pathway, and these protections do not relate to our neighbours. So importantly, and for the great benefit of our staff that we want to retain, staff protections are in force now. There should be no forced redundancies as a result of the de-amalgamation, and that protection during proposal stage, ILG have confirmed on 2 occasions that is in force now. The preservation of entitlements to both new organisations, which we'd be familiar with from the amalgamation, and similarly protections of no forced redundancies for 3 years post-proclamation. So for the interest of councillors, to make sure that you had good visibility of those protections, and equally for the community that no doubt are very concerned for the staff of the current Snowy Valleys and the future 2 new councils.
Very good information. Thank you. Councillor Packer.
Just on the preservation of entitlements, your report talks about sick leave, recreation leave. It doesn't actually talk about pay rates. So I'm assuming that it means the same rates of pay would apply, and that if you're on X level, that goes through, even if it is a smaller job that you're doing. So I think that needs to be made very, very clear.
Yes, thank you, Councillor, through the Chair. You're correct. All pay rates are to be preserved, and at de-amalgamation, the salary systems of the current Snowy Valleys would be proposed to be in place in the new councils, and any review of salary systems to be undertaken in the future in consideration of the long-term financial plan. Salary system structure is important to be resolved, to preserve at the moment, or to know of that, so we can build that into the long-term financial plan.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just in relation to the community panels that we're now trying to look for, I do note that, yes, you're saying that we've got some reasonable expressions of interest at the moment, and they close, I think it's on Sunday the 19th, this coming Sunday. If we were to receive more than 10 exceptional applications from either end, is there the potential to actually, one, have a larger number to draw from, considering that what we're doing is that we're gaining ideas and information from across the community? Two, is there the opportunity for people to be able to be appointed past this initial one? And also, is there a system in place that if members of the community panel leave in the next, over the next 2-year period, that they can actually be replaced, so that each northern and southern end retain the correct number of people to represent their communities?
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the first question, can we appoint numbers beyond the advertised 10? My answer would be yes. When we close the applications and we bring a report, we can resolve that appointment at that time or look at those numbers. For transparency, a recent media inquiry that I responded to, I suggested as such that council might consider actually accepting a higher level if there was community interest. When we set the target of 10, it was first of all considering what would the level of interest be, and we're seeing now that there is a genuine level of interest, and we don't want to put a cap on that unnecessarily. So could we accept more at the moment once the EOI closes? The answer is yes, we could. With regards to the second question, which, if I understood correctly, was could we have people apply at a later time? Was that the second question, Councillor?
Whether they actually apply for the committee itself, or whether they can be, whether the committee can have somebody coming with an area of expertise if they're looking at a particular, the same as we do with a lot of our committees, you can have people come along to a meeting who have an expertise or a knowledge in that area that's being discussed. So it's that, but it's also about if members of the panel resign from being on that panel, if we can actually replace that to retain the equity of the northern and southern end representations.
Absolutely. So, Councillor, it's very, very common with community panels that are running for a long period of time that members would fall off, and that there'd be need to recruit and replenish those numbers over the course of the project. So that would certainly be expected. In regards to having, I guess, a known cohort allows for us to facilitate communication. So we know who we're inviting and that they're going along that journey over multiple deep engagements and education, and we're building on that as we go. If there was particular topics that we felt that it would be valuable to advertise for other interested expertise, there'd be nothing prohibiting that. The other consideration as well, while the panel will be incredibly important from a community representation point of view, it is only one part of the engagement. So, for example, for each key topic that we need to engage on, we would also look at what cohorts and representatives do we want to make sure are well represented, and that we do targeted engagement with those groups in addition to the panel. So unlike your Section 355 committees, there's a huge amount of flexibility, and I would encourage council to use that flexibility available to make sure that the vehicle of that panel and the benefit of that is realised to its full potential by looking at every opportunity to increase participation in an ad hoc basis or ongoing to make sure we have that deep engagement.
Thank you. Councillor Hayes has a question.
Thank you. Two points. Firstly, Snowy Valley Council is peculiar in that we're the only council, us and Cootamundra, we're peculiar, we're the only one with a panel, because Cootamundra only got, as I understand, has another system that they're working, so they don't have the panel. Second one is there any provision for voluntary redundancy?
In the Act, the protections relate to forced redundancies. In your regards to our project scoping and a budget, there are no current financial provisions for voluntary redundancies. And technically in the local government award, there is no voluntary redundancy provision, unlike some other awards. There is a very clear workplace change provision, however.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, has there been any preparatory work done on the division of investments so far?
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Madam Mayor. As Council might recall, we had approval to progress the updating of the financial sustainability plan. That work is progressing with the consultant. One of the many data sets required to be provided to the consultant is looking at the current asset list, for example, applying the distributions per the methodology in the deamalgamation implementation plan. When it comes to asset division, it's largely based on location. Parcels of land, for instance, if they're in the north, they're apportioned to the north, and if they're south, they're apportioned fully to the south. That applies to as well with disbursements, so your cash, your restricted and unrestricted cash reserves and investments based on the methodologies of the deamalgamation implementation plan. Those data sets are still being populated and some are being provided to the consultant and some are still pending.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon, was that your closing?
Yes, thank you.
All those in favour, and thank you, CTO, for your work.
Thank you.
Unanimous. 10.3, Regions Rising National Summit on the 14th of September in Canberra. At the moment we are endorsing the attendance of Councillor Sheldon, and the second one is to approve the attendance of other councillors who wish to attend. Do I have a mover? Councillor Packer, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Packer.
Oh no, but enjoy.
I do.
He does. It is a very good summit though.
It is. How late can you register for that?
I'm not sure. I'm very interested in going myself.
I think it's past the
Early bird.
early bird, so it won't make any
No,
difference.
closes
Oh, no, 30th.
30th of July.
For early bird.
No.
Councillor Packer, have you got a bit on?
Oh yeah.
It really is worthwhile. I can recommend it to anyone.
I can as well, absolutely.
That's very good.
7th of September.
Okay, so all those in favour? Going to Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference on the 22nd to the 24th of November. 4 recommendations there, moved by Councillor Sheldon, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
Nothing to add. Self-explanatory.
I just need to nominate up to 2.
Yeah.
Nominate up to 2 councillors. I certainly am intending to go.
Well, I think it says here that the
Oh,
mayor and
plus.
deputy are already going, so I would assume they would be voting delegates.
So councillors, people wanting to go?
I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, and we don't need to until the 30th.
Yeah.
So do we have to list them?
So we've just changed number 2 to say the mayor and the deputy mayor.
Voting
Nominated, yes, but
But number 1, authorise the attendance of the mayor and the deputy mayor. So we're already ticked off.
It says that if other
yeah.
Oh, for voting. Yeah. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it says that if we're approving today, if anyone else wants to go,
Yes,
that they
that's
can.
not a problem.
So we don't need to nominate today, we just
Great, but we do need to work on our motions, and I did note that we're only allowed to put in 3, so.
Yeah, they're restricted.
They're restricted to 3.
Per council, yeah.
For 700.
Just as a side, do we have a report on the motions that went to Alga and how they went?
I think we've got a report coming, if it's not in this one, it's in the next month.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors, Councillor Sheldon, you're happy if we...
Yes, Madam Mayor.
All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 10.5, submission to Office of Local Government draft model code of conduct for councillors. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Thompson.
Madam Mayor, there was a lot to go through, and I would just like to acknowledge and thank the staff for the effort that they've put into going through and doing a lot of the legwork for us. But the Privileges Committee is of a concern, and I think that once you start looking at councillors and mayors from across the state working as the ones who are actually undertaking that aspect of it, and the Code of Conduct is actually a very complex document, and it's got a lot of additions in this paperwork than we've had before. So I would like to thank and acknowledge the efforts that the staff have gone on to go through it, and I agree that the Privileges Committee is a concern.
Any other comments? Councillor Sheldon?
And
then Councillor Inglis. I've seen you, Councillor Inglis. We'll go Councillor Sheldon.
Let Councillor Inglis go first. No, let
okay, Councillor Inglis.
Thank you. I've taken the time to read the proposal from cover to cover.
Thank you.
Can I make this comment that in most disciplinary procedures that I've been associated with over the years, peer review is now the preferred course and is very common. The attraction, and it seems to me that this is a no-brainer, but the attraction to me is that what is proposed is a totally transparent process. It will be managed by OLG in an effective and efficient way, and it will be cost-saving. So that instead of our staff or the governance officer referring the matter to a review officer or to an investigator, which is always, I imagine, it's in a very expensive process, will be relieved of that financial burden and any involvement in the procedure. So it seems to me that the advantages far outweigh any disadvantage. I think also, having read it and knowing my association with other various codes, that it's inevitable that it'll come in. I can't see why we would consider opposing.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon.
No, it's all right. It's covered.
Any other comments, debate? All those in favour?
Can I just close then?
Oh, I beg your
Sorry.
pardon. Yes.
I was just listening if anyone else. I hear what Councillor Inglis has said, but there will still be a cost. It's not a free service that's going to be provided. Each local government area will have to financially contribute. The concern that I have is that if we're relying on the mayors and councillors from across the state, particularly a lot of the metro areas, have very, very strong political alignments, whether they're referred to as Labor councils, as Liberal or coalition councils or Green councils, and I think that particularly in our rural and regional areas, we will have the opportunity to be completely lost in the overall, and it becomes a political issue rather than just necessarily a good governance issue. And there will still be a cost to council. It is not a free service, and there's very little detail in actually how it would work, which concerns me. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Yeah, the lack of procedures in there is a concern.
Yeah.
Okay, councillors, all those in favour? Okay, everyone bar Councillor Hayes and Councillor Inglis. Are you for or against? You're against? And Councillor Inglis, you're against? Or
Yes,
for?
I am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would have thought that would be obvious.
Okay. 10.6, draft Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan for Public Exhibition. We've got 3 recommendations there. Have this to go out for a period of no less than 48 days. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Sheldon, Councillor Thompson.
Madam Mayor, I thank the staff, and it has been a 2-year process in trying to put this together, and it's a really good starting point, but I think that there's still a few things, and it does go out for no less than 28 days, and next month we have both the Narrumbungbilla Koori Committee and also the Tumbarumba Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander committees, that I'd really like them to see the final document that we can actually make some comment on. There's some errors within the document that need to be corrected, and I understand that these things happen when we're putting out draft documents. But I'd also like to encourage, how do we as a council produce an easy to read and easy to understand document that is a condensed version of what is the formal policy? Because I'd almost go that very few people read it from front to cover, from front to back. It's very wordy, the font's very small, it's at times hard to get through. So it's just a matter of, the information is there, but I think we also need to be inclusive in how we produce some of our documents so that they're easy to read and easy to understand for the wider community, and not just local government speak or government speak in general. So, but I do thank the staff member who's worked so incredibly hard on this. But it is no less than 28 days, and I'm sure that we can work out the few little hiccups in the document itself.
Thank you. Councillors, any other comment or debate? Councillor Sheldon?
I'd just like some clarification from Councillor Thompson, please. Is Councillor Thompson seeking to defer this recommendation, or?
No, because it does actually say that it's going out for no less than 28 days. So we do have both of those committees meeting before the 28 days are up. We'd like to actually get both to have a quick look at it and just to be aware that this is the final document. Both committees were given the opportunity to have an input and to discuss, and the Innovate one is about the implementation of the ideas and the plans. The challenge is now going to be, how do we embed that into the organisation? Thank you. I think I did.
Councillors, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 10.7, draft external grant funding policy for public exhibition. That went out for exhibition, 3 recommendations there. Councillor Hayes, Councillor Hardwick, Councillor Hayes.
Look, I think it's good to have some sort of policy around these things. But I also note that you never know where grants can pop up from, and you've got to be able to not lock yourself in that we're not going to apply for something. So you've got to have the option to pivot. But at the same time, you don't want organisations applying for grants for your facilities and suddenly being surprised that it's only half funded.
Dollar for dollar.
And you've got to stump up the cash, and we've been caught like that before.
Indeed.
So, you know, if we can, you know, make sure we're covering our backsides in that way, that's great. But at the same time, we don't want to make sure that we don't lose a grant opportunity that comes out of the blue.
No, I thought grant.
The General Manager would like to speak.
Sorry, just a quick question. Councillor Hayes, just on page 137 of the attachment, which is the policy that is covered for the community or for the community organisations. So it says that they must adhere to this policy and they must seek council endorsement for their application.
I think we had that sort of in place before as well, but it didn't necessarily happen. But it's
we'll reinforce it.
I think the very fact that this has come to council means that it will probably be reported on, and some people may remember that.
Yeah. Councillor Sheldon?
Yes, look, I just think, following on from what Councillor Hayes has said, I think there's one thing we've got to be very cognizant of, that when we do, we've got to start being shovel ready, a little bit more shovel ready. But the other thing is the full cost of products when we do it, because a lot of councillors get caught after they've gone for a grant, there's a shortfall down the line that impacts on councils' immediate and long-term financial plans.
I think everyone's got a story. Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
And Madam Mayor, the thing that we need to be really cognitive of, this policy basically slots right in with integrated planning and reporting. It's saying that we need to understand the full impact of the before, during and after of the project itself. It's not just a matter of accepting money and then working out how we pay for everything long term afterwards. We need to make sure that when we accept a grant, even if it's a great opportunity, that it's not going to put the community at a financial disadvantage going forward. So I think the policy, if it's there and it's adhered to, will actually help support the integrated planning and reporting frameworks.
Excellent. Councillor Hayes, do you want to close?
Hi, look, thank the staff for organising this. I think the point is, with grants, you can't just say we're not going to take any grants. You've got to realise that you need to continue to keep your staff working, and some of these grants you have the ability to capitalise your wages on. So in fact, they do help you to keep above, to keep in the black at times. So that's it's a delicate balance, but if you don't apply for them, you've got to pay all your wages.
Yeah.
If you do apply for them, you have an opportunity to capitalise the wages.
Yeah. And we've seen that a lot in the last few years. Thank you, Councillor Hayes. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we've got council's expenses for the 6 months period ending the 30th of June. Someone move that. Councillor Thompson, seconded. Councillor Packard. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's an interesting document. I don't know that I fully understand if all of our costs and things are in there, but it does include the remuneration that we receive, and for many there's a lot of costs that we don't actually claim. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Councillor Hayes.
Well, it is what it is, but I don't think it's right. I suggest it be deferred for a month and then come back to us, because I think that we can talk about things that are missing now, but I think there's just some things.
Could I defer to the Chief Financial Officer on that
Sure.
topic and welcome? Or to the General Manager.
As mentioned on page 56, Councillor Hayes, there are some credit card transactions that still need to be processed, which relate to the past 6 months. So those recent, so it's just a timing issue about when those.
So a month would help.
A month or two.
We're happy to refer that now. Do we need that as an amendment?
Just let it lapse.
No, we just let it lapse.
Just let it lapse. Okay. Moving on to 10.9.
Oh, well, I was going to say you could resolve to defer to the August meeting, is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Rather than noting the report,
We could just change it to
Resolve.
defer.
Change to defer.
Yes, just so that's on record.
Defer the report.
To be presented.
Defer the report on council's expenses for a 6 months period ending the 30th of June to the August meeting. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Packard, are you happy with those amendments? August meeting. Okay, councillors, are you all happy with that? All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 10.9, statements of investments, June 26. We've got one recommendation there. Councillor Sheldon, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, look, Madam Mayor, I've read it and I thank the Chief Financial Officer for it. It's pretty, self-explanatory until you get to page 62, where it says the major cash receipts during June to the major cash in disbursements, and then you see how it collates with the investment subject and you realise that not really. So all I'm really suggesting is, my first thing is that perhaps we re-head that as financial adjustments during the month of whatever, instead of confusing it with the actual investment report. It is separated completely from it. And then the next bit is, I noticed...
Can we just address that straight away? Is there Chief Financial Officer, would you like to speak to that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, correct. We can definitely look into providing some sort of, because what it's giving us now is major cash receipts, key movements during the month, and for the same thing for the cash disbursements as well. But what we could really do is we can perhaps create a subheading saying that we can basically break it down, and that matches to what movement we are reporting on the investment report, which is a reduction of $1 million compared to last month. But this breakdown is giving us a profit of 2.4, which is an increase in the investments, and that's not tying back to the investment report. So yes, we can do that.
Excellent, thank you. Next point.
Next point is, I noticed the financial assistance grant prepayment of $6.72 million. Now, I understand that that is more than the normal, it's 80% of the financial assistance grant, and I'm just wondering if there's a way, because it's going to artificially inflate our figures for last financial year. I'm wondering if there's any way also that we could use some of that financial assistance grant, because it is unrestricted funds, to help finance money that the the de-amalgamation which will assist the long-term de-amalgamation plan, and also show the Minister that we're actually working to supplying some funds, and using that money also gives us 3 months, I think, before the first QBR, the QBR is required, we can make have a real cost savings report to make up that, or find the savings within that first quarter.
General Manager.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Sheldon. As the Chief Transition Officer reported previously, we're currently updating all our financial modelling for the de-amalgamation, plus the 2 new councils going forward. In terms of SVC, in terms of our budget process, we've included those grants in our budgeting, and we're still projecting a deficit.
I know, and that's why I'm saying we've got really, if we wish to make some real big changes for next year's budget and finances, we've got the first QBR to make those arrangements flowing through for the last 9 months of the financial year, if we can come up with some real cost-saving initiatives.
Yes, so through you, Madam Mayor, that's what we're doing at the moment. The only issue is we already applied that approach with the budget, so we already went through and stripped the budget back and tried to identify some cost savings in that process. But for Q1, we're also trying to identify some savings, further savings.
We're both talking the same lines.
Yeah, Councillor Woods.
I've got a few questions. They're all just quick ones. But, I was just curious about the Tech One fees, the 626,000.
Yep.
Will that reduce in like when we separate the 2 new councils? Will that be a lower fee, or will it be just identical 626,000 for the 2 new councils? Will that double essentially, or will it be a lower?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Words, at this stage, we're trying to finalise the cost for the ERP system, but we can confirm if Tumut was to retain Tech One, that would be the same cost for Tumut.
There's no
any additional comments to that, Chief Transition Officer?
just through you, Madam Mayor, to confirm, as per the General Manager, the fee that we pay at the moment is based on a minimum threshold, and reducing the footprint to the northern wouldn't have an impact. So that full cost would need to be explored. The current Tech One provider has been really open and transparent with us. For the obvious economic scale, that wouldn't be a solution for the Southern Council, and we are looking at those alternatives, which are vastly different in cost base.
Councillor Packard?
Just coming back to the financial assistance grant. Sorry?
I know you've got more questions, haven't you, Councillor Woods?
Oh, it's just,
Sorry.
oh, sorry, yeah, you go.
Yeah, and then I'll come back to you, sorry.
So it's for the 26, 27.
Yeah.
Is that going to be, does accrual accounting relate to that, or do we count it in, if we got it in last financial year, does it all happen? I still can't get my head around how that works. Does that happen every year and we just carry it for, we use it in the last year, but it really does apply to the next year?
Chief Financial Officer.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the FA grants, we usually treat that on a cash basis. So $6.7 million that we have received for next year. Council usually recognises that in 25-26 financial year, that is when the payment is made. We haven't really applied the accrual accounting for those FA grants, but we could really do that. Or alternatively, what Councillor Sheldon was saying about creating a reserve that we can lock in some of this money in this financial year, which is 25-26 financial year, a portion of that FA grants, and then that could be used in next financial year. But this will all be finalised once we have a final set of financials.
And sorry, do the auditors have a view one way or another on how that should be done? Or the AREC give us any direction on that, or is it completely up to us how we report it?
From my understanding, through you, Madam Mayor, from my understanding, it improves the financial results for the council, and it has been treated on the cash basis. Auditors don't have a view on it because neither accounting is wrong, but in the past it was basically just treated as cash. We could change that.
And is it okay to have part of our accounting done accrual and another part done cash? They don't mind not being pure and having it all done one or the other?
Welcome to local government. Why is it?
Absolutely. Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, absolutely. We could really look into locking in some of that grant for this 25-26 financial year financial statements. And it doesn't really show up, because what's going to happen for next year is we had budgeted 50% of the FA grants prepayment, but we have received 80%. So what it's going to do is for 25-26 financial year, when we had received this money, it's going to increase the profit or the surplus for the financials. For next year, which is this current year, 26-27 financial year, we're not going to receive approximately a couple of $1 million because only 20% of the payment is outstanding. So rather than 50% of the quarterly payments, we're only going to get 20% of the quarterly payments from FA grants. So we can lock in this 25-26 prepayment into the reserves, and then we can use that money in 26-27 financial year.
Thank you.
Councillor Wirtz, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I was just going to ask the question about so the roads to recovery grants. Are those multiple projects? Have they been identified? Yeah.
To the Acting Director of Infrastructure?
Yeah, all of our road programs have been identified already, so I could give you a list of specific roads to break up that funding.
Yeah.
I don't have them in front of me, sorry.
That's right.
To tell you which specific ones, but yes, the guys are already programming out the works for the next 12 months.
Yeah,
it'll be good to see, yeah. Correct. You good, Councillor Wirtz?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Sheldon?
I've got nothing. I just think it's been a good report, and I think it's opened up some really good debate, and also understanding, which takes taken me age to get my head around, this accrual to non-accrual. It really is a mind blower. But I do think, for me personally, it is a way, and I just wonder if that would upset that other motion, because it is coming out of grant funding and we haven't applied for it, is in cash reserves, if it would actually interfere with the motion that I put forward also.
The motion for
Not to spend any money.
Yeah.
Because it is in cash reserves,
Yeah.
and it's a grant that we haven't applied for.
Happy as a comment, or do you want a response to that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Sheldon, so your motion is from December last
Yes.
year? Yes, and we've since resolved to expend funds on the de-amalgamation. But because it is unfunded, any expenditure has to come.
Yeah, but it is one way of using some money that's already in the cash reserves, unrestricted.
Thank you.
Cash is king.
So Councillor Sheldon, are you closing now?
Yes, I'm very happy.
Okay, all those in favour? Thank you, unanimous. Okay, management reports. 11.1, public swimming pools, 25-26 season report. I have Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Packard. Councillor Thompson.
A lot of information, and the first thing I would like to do actually, Madam Mayor, is to thank the person who produced the report, because at the very, very end, where you actually identify the, I know I bang on about the integrated planning and reporting, but it is the framework that hopefully keeps us in between the lines a bit. They've actually gone through all of the risk management, the financials, and addressed it in the way that I think IPNR was intended in that framework at the back. There's a lot of information. I found it interesting that, you know, the usage of the pools, the fact that if we had more people who could teach swimming lessons, we'd probably do even a lot better. One of the questions that I do have was that we had extreme weather conditions in January or February of this year, and we did actually cop some flack for not keeping our pools open longer on those days, or providing even access for a period of time for people. Is there the opportunity for us to be able to look at that or incorporate that into keeping the pool open for longer hours on those extreme heat days, whether we pick a number of 42 degrees or 41 degrees or whatever? Is that? I note that the author of the report actually said that at the very back, keeping it or opening it early on the days of pub or the special events and things like that wasn't going to be a huge imposition. I'm just wondering about being able to stay open on super days.
Through the Mayor, everything will come at a cost. You do have a system where you have pool passes that allow unsupervised access. So to suggest that we need to have staff there is probably irrelevant. It's just the way that you use it, or the type of pass that you purchase. So if you purchase the after hours access, you can access the pool through to the the later times that you've suggested. Yeah, I guess it's up to council. The more staff time you use, the more expensive it is for your budget.
Maybe it's something we could actually look at what the cost would be to remain open for an extra hour or two. The other clarification I was seeking is when they refer to operating hours, is that the 12 to 6:30 when it's supervised operating hours, or is that the 7 or 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. when it's actually open to key holders or card holders? So, just because
It's the operational hours, including the lifeguards, and not the after hours.
Correct.
So that means that there's actually a lot more use then, because I found it really interesting, the card holders, the majority of them like to go when there's not the general public there, so they
want to
can.
do their laps, yeah.
They want to do their laps. They wanted to do the fitness and the health side of it without all of the other. So that was a really interesting statistic. But to understand that your operating hours are only the supervised hours shows that there's that whole other depth in relation to the after hours and the card holders and the benefit that that has actually been as well.
Through the Mayor, the after hours is reported separately
Yep.
in the report.
Yep, I
It's
understand.
just that we don't have 5 years of data because it's a fairly new process to council, so it's just reported separately at the moment.
Councillor Packer?
How difficult would it be to have swipe card access at the same time for all the pools? It just seems to me we've got a bit of a disparity across the pools. Is there any reason why they all couldn't be 6 a.m? Because it seems to be
To do with, we have to chlorinate in the mornings, testing.
Well, no, it's actually not chlorine.
Well,
Sorry,
not
we're-
chlorinate,
we're-
like testing with the water in the mornings.
It's a testing,
But
which is via legislation, that's what the legislation says.
You have to do it every day.
Through the Mayor, the health regulations that you operate your pools under in the unstaffed period, there's a requirement that you do water testing before you let people in. Different pools have the ability to open at different times because of the staffing levels we have. So, for example, at Tumut we have water and sewer staff who operate in the water treatment plant next door, starting their day at 6 a.m, whereas in Tumbarumba they start their day at 7 a.m, so hence the difference between the after-hour access time at those facilities.
Is there no mechanical telemetry that we can just
Dipstick.
plop a dipstick in and have it read and tell us so that remotely someone can just record and see they're all fine?
You think there'd be a digital?
Yeah, that's right.
Could I put through an amendment that we actually investigate this as well, or to get a volunteer, because I'm going to speak specifically to 2 people in Tumbarumba who like to do their laps and like to get to work on time, and at the moment at 7 o'clock that's just not happening. And from what I read in the legislation, the pH has to be tested. I mean, we test all our pH in our pools at home. It shouldn't be that hard to allow a volunteer to do it and record it. Could we put that as an amendment?
Happy to investigate that.
To investigate that?
For councillors.
Yeah, and
the
if that's
technology
possible.
that might be available as well.
Yeah.
We
Because our
obviously-
goal is to open at 6.
We obviously have automatic testers for things like pH in our water treatment plants, so
Yeah.
the technology is there, but whether you have the same technology for pools, I'm not sure I'll invest.
Thanks.
To clarify, we did have the same discussion last year and there wasn't the technology available to do it.
No, I don't think that was the case.
But wasn't that what was explained to us?
No, it wasn't the technology, it wasn't I don't think it was the
staff availability to
No.
The will.
So what we
That
were
would
looking
be
at is
more like
the staff who are going in earlier are getting paid overtime as well. So we're looking at trying to reduce the cost of that as well. So I'm not trying to stop the staff getting overtime, but maybe there should be, we could find other ways to get some overtime.
Seems
Overtime.
Sorry,
Well,
the staff that do start at 6 a.m. are on normal time.
Oh, no.
If you were to say
That's
ask the
right.
staff to
In Batlow, can
start
over
early
10.
Yeah.
in
Tumbarumba.
Tumbarumba,
Yeah.
that would
That
enact
would be
overtime.
That would be
But
overtime.
it's not at the moment.
Yep. Right, councillor Harvey, please.
I just have a question here in relation to page 71, when it says that Adelon Batlow should also increases in revenue while Cankervin saw a significant increase due to no swimming lessons being offered as a result of no availability of qualified staff. Is the council looking to get qualified staff for Cankervin to increase that service again, or is that just not a possibility?
Through the mayor, I think they've tried to attract people with those qualifications and they've just been unable to in that particular pool in the circumstance, but we're not really able to. But there's no reason why we can't stop trying to get appropriate.
Will through you, Madam Mayor, will a position be open, advertised on the council's website specifically for a Cankervin swim instructor? Is that
It
likely
has
to
been
happen?
previously.
Okay, I just know swim instructors who live in Cankervin now who I could.
We would really encourage you to encourage them to apply.
Excellent, fantastic, thank you.
Could I ask the Director of Infrastructure, just on page 72, the after-hour cards for Cancoban, being very aware that Cancoban was in this trial period of not having lifeguards throughout the week. So after-hour cards, 478 from even with discounted and whatever, so that looks like we had less than 10 people apply for that, which I spoke to the people in Cancoban, they loved it because they had a pool to themselves, had a great time. I would really like to see, before the swim season opens, that we have a meeting down there, we explain to the general public what it means and how they can use it, because I felt this year that the 10 people who used it, they had a great time, they loved it, and everybody else was going, I don't understand why I can't go into this pool. So I don't think the comms, from my perspective, really explain. Because it was quite tricky, I think it's something that we need to go down and actually talk to people about, if we could. And the other thing I'd ask is, I think there were surveys sent out, and I couldn't see it in the attachment. Did we get to see the surveys?
There was results of the survey.
Yeah, I'd actually
limited response, but there was a result of the survey in the back of the report. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to just see the survey results if that's okay. That'd be great. Thank you, Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, look, I support Councillor Hardwick on this, on his figures. From what I understood, Cancoban had a very poor season last year, but this year it was a great improvement. But it's not showing up in those figures. On page 71, on the revenue. It's gone from 11,557 to 4,524.
Swimming lessons.
Yeah, swimming lessons is the cause of the drop of income.
Yeah, but from what I understand, what I'm trying to say is that it was a vast improvement over last year.
More people went in.
Yeah.
Because more people, like people with the swipe card, this is the thing, they went every day.
That's what I'm saying.
Beautiful,
So
lovely
the revenue
pool
should
to
have been
themselves.
great.
No.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, the season tickets.
Yeah, they have the season tickets. So
Sorry.
those 10 people had a great time.
So the swipe
cards didn't give them any more revenue.
You pay your season pass.
Yeah.
A further point?
Yes.
Even that would have stopped people to even that price.
Council
Think about it.
organise any meeting with
The Cancoban community about pools prior to the pool season.
to promote pool usage and access.
I just think it gets snowy. I'd rather take it over.
They built the whole town.
Good legacy for
I
Cancoban.
can't speak on behalf of Sonic Hydro, but I imagine they would say no.
I think they're built Chermondale too.
Yeah, let's engage.
Someone's got to open up the conversation.
Well,
Work hard for one pool, work in the
and
other.
as far as
For a season pass.
Yep.
Swipe card.
Yeah, the season.
Your swipe card.
The thing is, you've got to be inducted into each pool. Yeah.
I don't think,
And then you can.
yeah.
But you have to be
Why
inducted.
can't you have a generic induction?
A generic card.
Because
generic
each
induction.
site,
Generic card.
each site is different.
liability.
Councillor Hayes.
Firstly, just doing the figures, your swipe cards are more than 1/8 of all your users of swipe cards. The problem with those is they're a captive audience, but they're not spending any money because they're only spending money on a swipe card, so they're not, so that's a bit of an issue. I cannot work out why. So in the first term of council, we spent $3.8 million on pools, bringing them up to standard.
Which term, James? This
That was
term.
the first term, first council, Snowy Valley Council. So
8 years ago.
there was 79,000 for the Adelong pool, there was 40,000 for the Cancoban, there was $1 million for Tumba, there was 1.2 million for Tumut and 1.75 million for Matlow. So there's a significant amount of money spent on those pools. Why is the depreciation for Adelong 114,000 and Tumut 73,000, and it's had more money spent on it the last 2 years than Adelong cost?
Because it's about the facility.
To acting director of infrastructure.
I'll take the question on
Yeah.
notice because I want to get the right answer. But
Yeah, I want the right answer, yeah. But it just seems strange.
Or that it hasn't been allocated directly, perhaps, we can check.
Yeah, it may well be that it's wrong, or there's an extra decimal point in there or something. So that's a bit of an issue there. And also to go back in those early years, the 64,000 people were using the pools in the first few years of the Snowy Valleys Council. So the patronage has fallen for whatever reason. Maybe most people have got a pool in their backyard, I don't know. But it's fallen from 64,000 in 2017, 2018 to what it is now, so worth noting as well.
Thank you. Councillor Packard and then Councillor
No,
Shea.
that's all right.
Just a couple of things. From my going around in my role, I've spoken to councils about pools, and it certainly doesn't seem to be a Snowy Valleys Council specific problem. Councillor Hayes, it seems to be an across the board problem that attendances at pools, public pools, are dropping. So, you know, other councils are having exactly the same drop off that we're seeing. So there's obviously a broader societal shift happening. It would seem to me to be very wise for us to try and come up with a one swipe card, one generic induction, potentially with a little tweak if it needs it for each site, and really simplify the process so that if it's 1/8 already, we push that up to it being 1/4 of the people are using cards, and it may be a captive audience who don't spend much.
They have to buy the card though.
That's right, yeah. And the more people we get to buy the card, there will be some then who come at the times when they spend. Surely inductions can be done through having an online module where people sign on, do the online module, and then just do the Talbingo add-on, or the Tumid, or
It's
the
no pool in Talbingo.
or the Battler add-on. Sorry, that's
Online education.
That's the lake I was
That's why we have to do
I
it.
was thinking Cancode. If you recorded the generic thing, people log on, they do it, they acknowledge that they've
And
done
each
it.
pool, this is where you find the life-saving.
Yeah, that's right. And it surely would be not that.
It would be a lot more attractive to have that
Yes.
swipe card across all.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Packard, we have looked at that. Last year we were trying to do an online form. That would be for your season pass, but also for your after hours. So essentially what would happen is we would film the induction, and depending on what pool you're going to is sort of what sort of video you would see, and then there will be an acceptance at the end. At this stage, there's a lot going on at council, so we're just trying to prioritise what needs to happen. So we have thought about that. That wouldn't help everyone because there's still some people that would like to come in and obviously get an on-the-ground induction. But no, we have thought about trying to streamline it. It's just a matter of time and resources at this time because we would need to film the inductions and obviously upload the videos and then create the online form, but also the back-end process as well. Yeah, we need to think about that. So it is on the cards.
Thank you.
We'll attempt to get there.
Oh, Councillor Hardwick?
I speak to that.
Sure.
As someone who's reading a lot of legislation at the moment around 24/7 access, and I know that we're not running 24/7 access facilities here, but swipe card access and video inductions, it's a bit of a legal grey area at the moment. I know it's what they're sort of working towards, but it is preferable to have an on-site person to run inductions for legal reasons. It's just a lot of what I have found in my research recently. So, and I know that's for gymnasiums and pools, but they are sort of categorised together in what I've seen. So.
Yeah. No, good comment.
Look, I just concur with Councillor Packard there and address the elephant in the room. Pools have changed, community pools. And there has to be some real serious, we're not going to make friends doing it, but there has to be some real serious thought about our pools, swimming pools, our public swimming pools, because we can't afford to keep maintaining them as the numbers drop off. And from everything you read and everything you see, those numbers are dropping off right the way around the nation, not just in regional areas. Attendance in community pools are going. And a lot of councils can't afford to maintain them, and it has to be addressed one way or the other. And we just have to be ready for the onslaught, but decisions have to be made on it.
Thank you. Councillor Inglis, I just want you to be aware we actually can't see you at the moment. If there's anything you want to say, please.
No, I'm here.
Oh, now we can see you. Good, thank you. Okay. Councillor Words?
Yeah, I guess my question or statement about it, like reading through the figures, like cost of running the pools here, it says total $1.6 million.
Yep.
And then the revenue brought in is 265,000 there, in terms of, and we've tried to reduce hours. Obviously the way, it's not trying to actually make a profit, but we need to think of ways to incorporate perhaps non-council solutions to running these pools. I know we've tried to approach people, but I think moving forward, going into 2 new councils of both Chimney and Tumbarumba, or Snowy Valleys and Tumbarumba, these approaches are going to have to be readdressed and re-looked at, because if it's going to be a problem now as a combined council, it's going to be even more of a problem when we separate into 2 new councils. So those costs will become compounded. So I think, yeah, this is going to be an ongoing problem. I think we need to have that in mind, especially when I hear the Minister of Local Government talking about service reviews. This is what he's talking about. It's these costly services that we want to have for the community, but we just can't provide without, involving the community in a way where they have set up their own businesses and can run these in consultation or in kind with the council, whether that's like the example that we're having with the multi-purpose centre, things like that. So anyway, just
because these are multi-million-dollar assets and we want them used as much as possible. Yep. Yes. Okay, so that's Councillor Thompson. Do you want to close this debate there?
I just think it's fantastic to hear such great discussion around it. These are one of our greatest community assets, but also one of the most expensive. And I think that what was demonstrated even in the last season, particularly, and I'll use Batlow as the example, when Batlow's hours were reduced and they asked us to revisit that, which we did, what Batlow actually then did is that they increased the number of opportunities that they provided for people. And this is where if community can be involved and come on board, then it can make a difference. But for council to continually be spending this amount of money, we need to look at ways of making sure that those people who are wanting to use it, particularly for fitness, it is there, because it's one of the best forms of exercise and fitness. But I truly believe too that the number of private pools that are being built in people's backyards, once upon a time you'd look at Sydney and every second house had one. Now you look around our communities here and it's the same thing. People are putting their own backyard pools in, which means they're not going down to the local pool. And it's also the swimming lessons. If we can't attract enough people to provide all of those swimming lessons, then we're missing that opportunity as well. But I think the discussion and debate, it was a report that had a lot of information in there for us, and I thank the staff members for that.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Thompson and Councillor Packard, we've got 2 amendments there. The number 4, to investigate options for an automated pH monitoring and testing advice. I'd also like that to and include or a volunteer
Community volunteer system.
Or community volunteer system. And the second amendment, to engage with the Cancoban community to promote pool usage and access. Are you happy with those? Happy to.
First person to go through school.
Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you.
Councillor Hayes is taking over Avalon.
11.2, proposed memorandum of understanding, Murrumbidgee Landcare Inc. and Riverina Highlands Landcare Network. We've got one recommendation there, to endorse the General Manager to enter into an MOU. I have Councillor Sheldon, seconded by Councillor Hayes. Councillor Sheldon.
Nothing to add.
Councillor Hayes.
Very valuable organisation.
Yeah.
Thank you. No debate? All those in favour? Thank you. 11.3, leasing transaction report, fourth quarter, 1st of April to the 30th of June. There's one report on leasing transactions there. I've got Councillor Sheldon moving, seconded by Councillor Packard. Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, look, I note the report and I thank the report author, but it stands out that for a quarter year thing of $167,000 in arrears, in total payment, we've got 25% of that is in arrears, and that's far too high. If it was around 8 to 10 or even 12% would be acceptable, but at 25% it's far too high.
I like zero personally.
So do we all, but reality is the commercial levels runs around that level. So I just think it's far too high, the total arrears.
Can I ask the General Manager to comment on that?
To you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Sheldon, in terms of what payments are outstanding, most of it is with one provider at the moment.
Yes.
And Council is actively talking to that provider on a way forward. So it's not across the board, it's really just with one.
But I did also note that the person that we've just recently leased to, within 12 months, they have a pretty high outstanding debt.
Thank you. Yep. Anyone? Yeah, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just in relation to, and it's difficult because, as Councillor Sheldon referred to, we do have the attachments that are in a confidential section, so we can't actually talk about specifics. It concerns me the number of outstanding and the amount that is outstanding. But also, going through it, I can't quite always understand why council sometimes pays the legal fees for the preparation of the leases, whereas there are other times that the organisation is responsible. And also within this document, there's the identification of a number of outdoor dining areas, but there's only a handful that are recognised and a lot that aren't recognised within the documentation and the report that's actually in Open Council. So just wondering, how do we determine how we follow up and how we actually make sure that the guidelines are being followed?
Yeah, we do have a property partner role here at council, and it's that officer who's drafted this report that I guess follows up and follows due process and follows the guidelines as part of that role.
Okay. Thank you. And the other thing is that within our HAC building, we have 3 significant locations within that pay really minimal, there's a minimal income. And is there any way looking forward, because I also note the terms of the lease, that we can actually utilise how we could better, how shall I say, make more money on them really in the future? Or is there that opportunity for something else to be?
Yeah, through the Mayor. We've got the opportunity to review leases at all times, I guess. Whether we've contractually locked ourselves into a fee that doesn't have the ability to increase or not, it's a different story. It's a different lease by lease for you. But I take on board you said the HAC facilities. I can have those reviewed and provide some better feedback to you on those.
Thank you.
And could I just ask a question too? It's been added in the caused a bit of consternation in the community, particularly in the south, that we do have 9 McEwen Court and 19 lots in Snowview Estate for sale, and there's been some thought that because we're going through deamalgamation, nothing is to be sold. I realise that's not the case, but maybe the General Manager might speak to what the actual,
What the legislation says?
what the legislation says. That'd be great.
Through you, Madam Mayor, so the legislation doesn't automatically prohibit any assets. It does say that the Minister at his discretion may prohibit if necessary. But I think that's to ensure that there's not a fire sale of assets, in particular in one particular area. As everyone's aware here, those assets have been listed for sale for sort of many years now, so it's not something new. This was like a strategy that was adopted by council 2 years ago, I think now, or like at least a year and a half ago.
And if 9 McEwen Court was sold, the understanding is that those funds would go into build a new house.
A new house in stage 3, Snowview, that was the council resolution, yes.
Yeah, great, thank you. Councillor Packard and then Councillor Sheridan.
Even bearing that in mind with 9 McEwen Court, is it correct that it's now been leased for a year?
Under negotiations.
Okay. It just would seem that it's been leased, if it does get leased for a year, then there's a very short time left until the amalgamation, potentially pulling it from the market might be a wise thing to do anyway.
It would be sensible.
Just as
Through the Mayor, we've had interest from a party to rent that property, and we've set our rates, and we're waiting for feedback from the potential rentee. And if that comes to fruition, we will enter into a lease arrangement with them, and an income stream will be coming in, which is a good thing for council.
So this point of then taking off the market, let's wait until we've got the lease signed and sealed, and then come back and revisit that.
The current resolution is to sell that asset. Did you want to move that way today, just so it's on record, or?
Just so something that is known about this before when Snowview Estate started, and this was in the previous Tumbarumba Council.
Yes.
This was the thing, is that each time you build a new house, you sell it, and then you build a new house. So I'm quite happy to leave it, because I think it's a really good strategy to keep having new houses being built.
But we need the resolution now so that it remains as an asset for the Tumbarumba when the demarcation occurs.
I'm happy to move that it not be sold.
So that will be amendment.
In addition.
So at the moment we've got the note, and then
That's just not McEwen, that's all.
yeah. So recommendation, you've got an amendment is to basically take 9 McEwen Court off the market.
That council no longer list 9 McEwen Court for sale.
Can I just make a comment on that, Daniel? I think that whole initiative was the former Tumbarumba Council's initiative. And I think that it's something that needs to be retained, that is handed back to them in the new council setup, so that they also have that starting point to go forward. I don't think that it's a healthy move to consider selling it and having to decide on the asset later. I think that it was an initiative of Tumbarumba Council. It then was drawn into everything under Snowy Valleys, and I think that it's something that should be handed back to Tumbarumba Council to have going forward. That's my personal opinion.
So Councillor Sheldon and Councillor Packer, there's an amendment there. Are you both in agreement?
I'm happy.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to vote on those separately.
Can I just add, following on from what the General Manager said, the discussion about where we go with the Snowview was ratified by this council in April 2025.
April 25. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Sheldon, do you want to close debate?
I'm happy.
You're happy? Councillors, we've got 2 recommendations there to be voted on separately. One is to note the report. All those in favour? Councillor Sheldon, are you against?
No, I had my hand up.
Unanimous? Okay, number number 2, no longer list Naimukura Court, Tumbarumba for sale. All those in favour? So we've got Councillor Packard, Thompson, Hayes, Inglis, Hardwick, Works, Sheldon, Ham against. Okay, thank you. 12.1, Youth Council Committee, 16th of June. 2 recommendations there. Moved by Councillor Sheldon, seconded by Councillor Words. Councillor Sheldon?
No, nothing to add.
Councillor
Good
Words,
work.
do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I will say something. So, yeah, it's been a bit hit and miss some of the events that the Youth Council have tried to put on, but we've been having some success with the movie nights, so it's good to see that we're progressing to get our own a screen here, because I think last one we did during the summer was a big hit. Probably 150 people there.
Oh, excellent.
There's quite a few feedbacks, but it was quite expensive because it was funded by the youth, the Department of Youth.
Sound like Alice Cooper.
And but we thought, after finding out how much it cost, we thought we may as well just buy the screen ourselves and the projector and put on our own movie night. So, and there is a movie night tonight at the Montreal Theatre. So, if anyone's listening wants to go see a movie, it's on at the Montreal tonight.
What's the movie?
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
Oh,
That's right.
It's a sci-fi.
Okay.
10 out of 10 movie.
Can you tell them, 1, to vote in the census and 2, to put their names down for the committee panel?
Yes.
Thank you. And can I, Councillor Hayes?
No, that was on. Go.
Can I just commend Councillor Works for his work? Now, I was involved with the Youth Council for 9 years, and it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
Oh, good.
But it's difficult. And the problem with kids is they grow up and leave. And you've got a new batch coming in all the time.
So good.
And you put on something that you think everybody like. We brought Eskimo Joe to Chairman. Nobody came. Some things you just can't win, but you just got to keep tapping away. And I think he's doing a grand job, and I'd like to congratulate him. I think it's great.
Can I just say to you, Madam Mayor, that the Montreal decided that instead of having some people turn up with a free ticket and some people turning up and being told they had to pay, that the decision has been made that anybody who turns up will actually be able to go in for free. So that nobody gets turned away and it's not a difficult, awkward situation.
Swimming pool.
It's been fantastic.
For the Toy Story?
Reception.
400?
Not that's up between the various movies.
Oh, I'm glad we didn't have to clean up after that one.
How good is that? Well done.
So you don't have to go to Walker. But the other thing I'm a bit jealous is that you are taking a busload over to go ice skating.
Yeah, to the Festival W. That's going to be.
Have you done a risk assessment on that?
We look forward to the photos, Councillor Words.
Yeah, right. Councillor Harvey can bring his camera.
Told.
So, Councillor Hardwick, you're involved.
I'm not, but it sounds like I am.
You are now.
I am now. Voluntold. I like it.
Councillor Sheldon, are you going to close debate?
Yeah, and I'd like to thank Councillor Hayes for stealing my thunder and congratulating Councillor Wirtz in the motivation and the enthusiasm, and also Councillor Hardwick that they've shown towards
Both
the
being
Youth
young.
Council. They have worked hard, Councillor Wirtz in particular, followed by Councillor Hardwick, so well done to the pair of you.
And then also the council staff, Brooke, obviously.
And the councillor staff.
The working ties, both Brooks and...
Both Brooks. What a better river.
They do a very good job.
Next year they'll be going to the Cancoven gym.
So, Councillor Sheldon, you'll close debate.
Yes, that's...
All those in favour?
Take a bus down the gym.
Yep, unanimous, thank you. Okay, 12.2 minutes, Batlow Cider Rail Trail Steering Committee. Now there's 2 recommendations there. Moved by Councillor Sheldon, seconded by...
I didn't move it.
Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Thompson?
I just have a quick question for staff as to the second recommendation that allocates the nominal budget of $1,500. I just need to know where that funding is coming from, because at this stage it hasn't been necessarily budgeted for, but we need to have a very clear understanding so we're not setting precedents going forward.
Through the Mayor, the last sentence in the report says,
Did I not get to the last sentence?
Councillor Thompson?
the committee has requested council to allocate a nominal $1,500 for the prerequisite licence and fees. It has been determined that it can be funded from within the existing assets and infrastructure design, manage, administration budget with no impact on the other projects. So no additional funds are required. We'll just use the existing budget that we've already allocated.
And can I just comment on this committee, which I do pop into every now and then? Look, there's a small keen group of people that are really pushing hard to have this move forward. But I really would like to thank Jen Charleston from the Department of whatever that she was.
A very special department.
But Jen, you're doing a great job, and
He works for the government.
and we need a driver like you, and thank you very much for your work. Okay. Any other comments?
Hard to follow that one, but this is not a 355 committee, is it? No. What sort of committee is it?
It's a committee of council.
Advisory committee.
Advisory committee. They have fundraising, they can be fundraising.
They've got a bit of a hurdle in front of themselves. They've got to find $20,000 to pay for business pay to progress. Council hasn't allocated any capital monies for that, so they're looking at partnering with industry and applying for grants with industry contributions to assist them with.
Jackson Trails Master Plan didn't cover that?
Not completely. They are using it,
Yeah.
but it's not quite. And my apologies to Jen Charleston, but she's the Economic Development Manager, Riverina Murray, Regional Development and Delivery, Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development.
You couldn't remember?
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
I don't know why I couldn't remember that.
Okay, Councillor Thompson, you happy to
I'm happy to
close debate? Councillors all in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. And that is to the end of the meeting. Thank you very much again for coming to Tupperumbo. Great to have you over here.
What about?
Have you got something we haven't got?
Councillor Shorter would like to stay a bit longer.
No, I just thought we had a confidential.
That's the attachment to the list.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, councillors.
I'm happy.
See you back here in Schubert in August.